is America on the brink of civil war? It's like, no, it's not. It's not.
It's
Go
refreshing hearing somebody
outside.
say
Like,
that.
go outside.
Yeah.
But it's never been this bad, bro. Read a history book.
You are the only one in the way. Like, who else is in the way?
You literally pick who you follow. You don't log online and you're already following these 1,000 accounts. You literally choose the people you follow.
It's so funny how you can say something so obvious, but it still sounds like an epiphany.
Do you think your parents would have made the same decision if you were 11 years old today? The world is a lot different.
Do you know what's interesting is the world is safer. There's just a perception that it's more dangerous.
Zuby number 4.
What's up? Happy to be here.
Welcome back for the 4th time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
It's good to see you. I think we did all of our favorite things today.
Went to the gym.
Woke up, worked out.
8. It's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start. Yeah. How are you doing, man? You're like, a lot has changed in the course of a year. We were just talking about, you were here last year, basically, but a lot has changed for you. You are a dad now.
I'm a dad and a husband.
And a husband.
Yeah, a lot has changed, man. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm blessed as always. I'm a little bit tired. Didn't have the greatest sleep last night.
Sorry to do this to you today. By the way,
no problem at all, man. No problem at all. But yeah, man, I do my best not to complain about my life in general. I think I'm a very blessed individual and always have been, and I don't take that for granted at all. So much of my mindset and perspective is like downstream of that. But things are good. I'm healthy. My wife is healthy. My child is healthy. And I'm here in Miami, getting the opportunity to travel and connect with friends and family. And it's all a blessing, man.
Yeah, you do lead a great life. I love the video this morning you showed me of your son boxing. He's like 3 months and he's already
with some assistance. But yeah, dude, it's amazing, man. Like, I think you hear all these tropes about parenting before you become a parent, and everyone kind of says the same thing. And yeah, it's all true.
Yeah.
It's all true.
Did you experience the switch getting flipped? It seems like Mother Nature just sort of turns something in you once you see your child in your hands, and you're like, I don't know. It seemed to be like that thing, that ineffable thing that so many parents describe to me. They're like, you just can't describe it. And then I experienced it. I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Yeah. And I still can't describe it.
Yeah. I think for me, there were 2 things that maybe were slightly different from a lot of people's experiences, from the way I hear people talk about it. I think the first is that I've been an uncle already for 19 years. And I'm an uncle times 10. I had 5 nieces, 5 nephews before I ever became a father. And obviously being an uncle is not equivalent or parallel to being a parent. But it's not 0%.
Yeah.
So I think having 10 nieces and nephews and seeing I've got 4 older siblings, and I've seen all of them go through that process and the different ages and stages of the children. And I've witnessed a lot of that firsthand. So I wasn't, a lot of people say you're never ready to become a parent or you're never ready to become a dad or something. I didn't feel that way. Like, for the last couple of years, at least, I've been like, yeah, actually, I'm ready. And then in terms of the switch flipping, that happened, but it happened for me once I knew about the pregnancy. It wasn't at the of course, there was another moment of like actually seeing and holding my son, and it being like super tangible. But for me, in terms of my like the instinctual part of it and the decision making and the way it readjusts your priorities, that for me, that was like a countdown of like, okay, I've got, 8 months. I'm going to become, I already felt like a dad during the pregnancy. I already have a child in the world. I haven't held him yet. I haven't seen him yet, but I do have a child in the world, even if he's like invisible right now. And then obviously just, in the hospital, seeing the little dude and holding him and just looking at him every day. It's remarkable. It's, I do think it's a miracle, no matter how much the biology of it all and, the functioning and this happens. Like, I know how that all works, but there's still something truly just miraculous and what's the right word? I don't know. Transcendental.
It's profound. Transcendental, profound.
Yeah, it's spiritual. Profound. It's multiple layers. There's like the physical layer, and there's the spiritual layer, and there's the emotional layer, and there's the responsibility layer, the sort of practical and the logistics, right? Like as a father, it's like, it's not just the love and the fun and the emotion. It's also like, oh man, like, okay, you're not just thinking about you and a smaller circle. It's just, it automatically expands it. And it's like, all right, I've got to readjust my priorities and I have to think of this aspect and think that. And here's the things I have to do now, but you're also thinking towards the future. You're thinking, okay, what about 10 years from now? What about 20 years from now? I need to make sure everyone is okay. I need to make sure even if I die, even if like, so you just start thinking very, very differently.
Yeah, my experience parallels that. Were you making decisions in your life many years before you had a child in preparation for the child? Because it's kind of how I went about it. It was like, I have a family that's coming in the future. So all my decisions were based upon my future family. So I didn't have that shock when my child was born.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say I've been thinking that way maybe for the last 4 to 5 years. I'd certainly say during my 20s, I chose a very weird path in life. So, I mean, I did the corporate job thing for 3 years, but then I quit at 24 and I was like, I'm going to go become a full-time rapper. So, I've been self-employed since 2011, which is quite a while now. Mm-hmm. And so at that point I was just like, I just need to keep myself afloat and I need to break even and I need to be not in any negative way, but my thinking was very selfish. Not in not in a bad way. Kind of like it had
just functionally.
It's just like, okay, I have no dependence. Mm-hmm. My responsibilities are mostly around myself and trying to get my business and my life and my career going. And so, just all of the traveling, all of the, I used to sell my CDs on the street for over a decade and all of that hustle. I also was very conscious and aware that there's going to come some time in my life in the future where I'm not going to be able to do this in this way. Mm. So to me, all of those things, it was like, these are stepping stones that I need to go through now so that when I'm in my late 20s, when I'm in my 30s, and then onward into the future, I will have more ability to make decisions. Something I prioritized from very young actually was just the concept of, I guess, freedom, liberty, autonomy. When I was in the corporate world, when I was like 22, 23, even at that point, I was like, I don't want to be 40 years old and need to ask another man for permission to take a day off or to go on. And I'm not trying to, poo-poo 9 to 5s or, diss any of that. But I just knew that that's not me. That's not my calling. That's just not the way I'm wired. So I was like, all right, now I have this opportunity. Let me put myself in a position where I'll have that independence. So one of my goals was, firstly, it was just keeping myself afloat. And then I think going into my late 20s and early 30s, one of my big goals became location freedom, location independence, the ability to not be tied to one city or tied to one country. And if I leave that, then all of my income shuts off and I can't do anything. So I wanted to become location independent. And then after that, to feel reasonably financially free and independent. So I think for me, those were the steps. And that was my thinking behind it all, to answer your question.
Were you thinking along the lines of like, I need to earn my place in this world as a man? Because I think that's one of the things that a lot of men, including myself, were unaware of. Like, your value in the world as a man is earned through achieving things, very generally speaking. Were you thinking about it that way? Or was it just like, I need to grind so that I can make sure I'm in a position where I can take care of myself and not be, needing help from somebody else when I'm 40 years old?
It's a great question. I haven't actually thought of it that much. I think was probably more of the latter. I'm sure the former drove it a little bit. I think as a young man, you always feel like you want to make your mark on the world. You don't want to be an unknown and to have no competence or power or influence or status. So I think I wasn't sort of specifically thinking of it as like, oh, I'm trying to sort of climb some hierarchy, or I'm not going to feel like a man until I do X, Y, Z. I don't think it was that for me, but it was just like, look, I've got certain talents and abilities and interests, and the way I'm wired is not average. It's atypical in certain ways. And so, cool, this is a gift, and let me do my best to make the most of that. What exact path and direction is it going to take? I don't know. The last 6-7 years in particular have been quite a whirlwind for me. 2019 in particular was a very strange tipping point in my life and my career, where I started to become known for many things outside of my music, to the point where now in 2025, more people know me for my non-music related stuff than for my music. Whereas prior to all that, from really from 2006 to 2019, anyone who had heard of me would know me as, oh, Zuby, rapper. And so my audience became a lot more global. My message became wider, and the range of things I do expanded. I wasn't doing any podcasts prior to 2019. I wasn't speaking on any stages. I certainly wasn't talking about any social, cultural, let alone political issues or anything like that. Nor did I think anyone would even be interested in my view on that.
No, you're so wrong.
I think the world just, let me not even say the world, the West. I think the part of the world that we live in, it just started shifting so much in a certain direction that I noticed that simply by standing still, I was increasingly, like, none of my opinions were controversial in 2005. None of my opinions were controversial in 2013. And then suddenly, without me changing, I'm kind of thinking the same thing I've been this whole time. And all of a sudden it's 2019 and I'm like, you know what? Like, men can't get pregnant. And people are like, whoa, yo, we need to talk to this guy. Look at this. Like, I'm like, you know what? Men shouldn't compete against women in sports. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, he's so brave. He's so courageous. And I'm kind of like, when was this up for debate? When did this even become politicized? When, you say that and people are, oh, you right winger. I'm like, it's a right winger to say that women don't have penises, men don't get pregnant. Like, okay, and then we went through the whole COVID thing as well, which was then like a sort of another, this time a real worldwide madness.
Where were you when that happened?
I actually went to 11 different countries during it.
Really?
But when it started, I was in the UK.
Was traveling just a nightmare?
It was a freaking nightmare. It was horrible.
What was the motivation to do that? You're like, that seems like swimming upstream.
I was trying to dodge the lockdowns and trying my best to continue living some semblance of a normal life. That makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, come March 2020, April 2020, I think I can confidently say, without, I'm not bragging or anything, but I think I was one of the very few people with a significant social media platform, like hundreds of thousands of followers, who from early on was ringing an alarm bell of like, hey, I think the cure is going to be worse than the disease here. Remember what it was, 15 days to slow the spread, 2 weeks to just 2 weeks to flatten the curve, guys, right? Just 2 weeks, just stay home for 2 weeks. I was like, this is sus to me. Like, I don't think it's just, so, I was ringing some of those alarm bells. I thought there was a massive overreaction, and that obviously there was a huge backlash from that. But at the same time, because it was such a global issue in a way that I don't think anything's been that global before.
No. If you're anything like me, you understand that Bitcoin is something we can use every day to connect, to collaborate, and to build stronger, freer communities. As true Bitcoiners, you all know we are each responsible for onboarding more Bitcoiners. That's why I chose to partner with Cowbolt, an expense splitting app that settles in Bitcoin. It can be as simple as splitting a dinner bill. Your friend covers dinner and you reimburse them, but you send it back to him in Bitcoin. Now your friend has their first sats, and as I always say, where your money goes, the mind follows. By using Cowbolt to get Bitcoin into the hands of your friends and family, you can help us orange pill the world. Cowbolt is built to let you split costs, share expenses, and settle instantly, while always keeping full control of your keys. Cowbolt is simple, social, non-custodial, exactly how Bitcoin was meant to be used. If you're serious about Bitcoin, it's time to act like it. Download Cowbolt today on iOS or Android. To learn more, go to cowbolt.com. Again, that's Cowbolt, COWBOLT.com. Forget multivitamins and other supplements. Animal organs are the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. you can get 100 times more nutrients from organs than you can from muscle meats. But the problem with eating organs is that they are difficult to find in stores, they are difficult to prepare, and even when they are prepared well, they often don't taste great. Thankfully, Heart and Soil Supplements has made consuming organ meats so much easier by providing powderized organs in capsule form. Organ meats include everything your body needs to thrive: vitamins, minerals, peptides, proteins, and growth factors. This is why organ meats were the most prized foods for our ancestors. Fortunately for us, Heart and Soil makes these treasured foods easily accessible. So go to heartandsoil.co today and use discount code BREEDLOVE to get started on your journey to optimal health and vitality. Again, that's heartandsoil.co, discount code BREEDLOVE.
What did you experience and before COVID that primed you to have that foresight? Because I think a lot of us had that, like, suspicion as it was happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you must have had things that primed you to think outside the box.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been forging my own path full time since 2011. So I've spent a very disproportionate amount of my time, like, just by myself and thinking my own thoughts. And, I used to literally stand outside all day, like, dozens of hours every week, either on the street or inside shopping malls, just like selling CDs, selling merch, did that for 10 years plus. And I think a lot of people don't spend that much time. A lot of people don't spend much time by themselves and really thinking about their thoughts and their wants and their desires. If you think of it, we're born into the world, and then from zero to, let's say 0 to 15, 16, you don't really make that many decisions. You're kind of just on a track. You certainly don't choose where you live, or you don't choose what school you go to. You don't choose what subjects you learn. At the beginning, you don't even choose what clothes you're going to wear. You don't pick much, right? Look at a baby, toddler, they don't make any decisions. Parents pick everything, and you're just born where you're born. You just happen to be born in this place. Even the friends, you don't even really pick your friends. It's just the people who are in your geographical vicinity. They happen to go to the same school as you, and so on. And then a lot of people go straight from that right into university, which oftentimes they're doing not because they very specifically are clear on, I want to study this and I want to go on to, it's just like, well, everyone goes to university. My parents said I should go to university. So you go and you do that for 3, 4, 5 years. And so from 0 to 20, 21, 22, 23, I think for a lot of people, they haven't really spent much time thinking about, okay, what do I think? What do I want? What are my priorities? It's just, this is what the media is telling you and your parents and this is what your peers are doing. And that can push people in all sorts of different directions. For some people it's, okay, I need to, I need to get married and start a family ASAP. That can happen particularly in more religious and conservative circles. And then on the other extreme, you get the complete opposite of that is oh, no, I shouldn't even think of, I never even want to do that, right? Reproduction is bad for the environment and blah, blah, blah. You've just got, this is where culture is so important, right? Because it kind of just shapes what the typical person is going to do. And then you've got everything in the middle of that. And so I think in my case, for whatever reason, from my late teens and then certainly into my early 20s, I was in a position and I also made certain decisions, which just, I remember being in university and I went to Oxford. I studied at Oxford. So I'm a lot of hyper intelligent, hyper ambitious young people. And I remember, so I graduated in 2007. I remember the financial crisis was 2008. So 2006, 2007, what does every smart kid in Oxford want to do? They want to be investment bankers because they're seeing how much people are, they're literally looking at what pays the most, right? Oh, they're seeing all these bankers are getting crazy bonuses, so on. So many of my friends went on, we worked Lehman Brothers, boom, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, everyone wanted to be an investment banker because everyone else wanted to be an investment banker. People just saw the money and the lifestyle and so on. At this stage, I was already making music. I was already rapping. And I remember just being I don't want to do that. That's not my...
What was your major?
Computer science.
How did you go through that and come out on the other side being such a free thinker? Because I find that the people that are the most educated seem to struggle with thinking outside the box. I think that's a very general thought, but
it's hard to say, man. I guess a combination of nature and nurture. I think from a young age, according to my parents, for sure, I've always been very independent minded, and I've done things in a way that make sense to me. And I've always been very disciplined. And I've always influenced people more than they influence me. You know, for the same reason, I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never, tried drugs.
no alcohol or
Last
minimal?
time I drank was 16 years ago. I stopped completely at 23, just on my own accord. I remember when I was 7 years old, I went vegetarian on my own accord.
Are you still vegetarian?
No, but I was for 7 years, 7 to 14. And, my parents thought, oh, he's 7, right? He'll be back eating meat in 2 days. I was like, no, I'm done. And they were like, oh, wow, he actually just stopped like
That's
that.
pretty incredible.
So maybe I just have something wired that way that makes me very disciplined, and I'm not a contrarian by nature, and I'm not rebellious by nature, but I won't do something just because everyone else is doing it. And I won't believe something just because everyone else believes it. I've just always thought more independently than that. And then maybe a factor was, I went to boarding school at 11 overseas. So I was living in Saudi Arabia. And then after 5th grade, I went to boarding school. So I've been traveling internationally by myself since I was 11. So from the ages to 11 through 20, I was in education in the UK, but living in Saudi Arabia. So for that whole, all my teenage years into my early adulthood, I was living, I guess, more independently than is normal. And my parents always put a lot of trust. They actually put an enormous amount of trust in me. I think they knew, okay, we've ingrained certain morals and ethics into him. So, we don't need to watch him like a hawk or do the helicopter parenting thing. We know we can send our child off to go to school in another country. And
was that an ongoing theme with how they raised you, or was there moments where you were fucking around and they had to clamp down?
I think I was a pretty easy kid, man. Of course, as your super young years, you're going to do some dumb crap, drawing crayon on the wall or whatever, and need to be disciplined. But, I always respected my parents. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. So I've always just, maybe it's the culture we come from.
And your parents were together. They didn't split when you were
My parents have been married almost, I think, 50 years next year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Still together, still.
All the siblings went to boarding school as well?
All of us. Yeah.
So have your parents shared with you the rationale behind that?
So actually where I grew up, everyone went to boarding school.
Okay.
Yeah. The only difference was we went early. So where I grew up in Saudi, the school ended at 9th grade. So 9th grade was the final year. So everyone would go to pretty much back to their home country. So the American kids would go to boarding schools in America. Canadian kids would go to schools in Canada. British kids would go to schools in the UK. But most people left after 9th grade. In our situation, I think 2 of my siblings left after 6th grade, but after 5th grade, I was gone. So for me, it wasn't like a strange thing. Mm-hmm. It's interesting when I talk about boarding school now to people, because where I grew up, it was just a very normal.
Sure.
It was a very normal thing. It was kind of the default. We just went early, and now I talk to people, and they're like, "What? You went to boarding school overseas at 11 years old? You were on planes internationally by yourself at 11? That's crazy." And I'm like, when I see 11-year-olds now, I'm like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. That seems a little out there, but for me, it was totally normal, and I didn't get homesick. I generally enjoyed it. I made a lot of good friends. Still have some my friends from boarding school days, and I think it helped me to stand on my own 2 feet pretty early. So all of these things perhaps play into answering what your sort of initial.
That makes sense. Do you think your parents would have made the same decision if you were 11 years old today? Because the world is a lot different.
Do you know what's interesting is the world is safer. There's just a perception that it's more dangerous.
Oh, I like that.
By almost any statistic, it's safer now than it was in the 90s, in the UK and in the USA. But there's this perception now, I think largely driven by traditional and social media, that it's more dangerous because now you see all the bad things, and only bad things make the news. Only bad things go viral. So you could look at a city, I don't know, pick any city, Los Angeles, New York, Miami. The crime rates were way higher in the 90s, way higher. But in the 90s, people, parents were much more laissez-faire with their kids. We all hear the stories, you could go out and run around and just be home by this time. People didn't have mobile phones. Like there was less, it was much harder to contact people, but there was less of this like, oh my gosh, I call it safetyism. But what's interesting now is I think that many parents, and I'm only super early in my own parenting stage, so I try not to be like, I'm not being overly critical of parents here, but I think what's strange is there's this safetyism in the physical world, but then an absence of it in the digital realm. So the idea, like there are many parents who, the idea of letting their kid, I don't know, go out and ride their bike or do this, walk to school, or would horrify them. But then they'll give them a smartphone with like, whatever, like 8 years old, you're giving them you're not just giving them full access, you're giving the world access to your child.
Sure.
In many cases without much oversight or restrictions, right? And we're all internet savvy people here. Like we know the dark side of smartphones and social media. Like it's pretty crazy. I mean, there's people who give their kids smartphones at 4 or 5 years old, which sounds bananas to me. But I hear that, I'm just like, gosh, like how can you be so protective of their like physical selves, but then you're just opening up. Maybe people don't know. Maybe because I've been online for so long, like I know like just how dark it can get. But so maybe some of it is ignorance. Maybe some of it is the fact that our brains are much better at perceiving physical dangers than things that are coming through a screen. I don't know, but I do think in our generation, people are waking up to this a lot more. I think the way that younger millennials and Gen Z will raise their kids will actually be quite different because the experiment has now been running for over 20 years. And we're seeing, whether you want to look at data and you want to look at the spike in depression rates and the spike in self-harm and the drop in like self-esteem and confidence and rise in suicide rates, especially amongst young people and all that, which correlates exactly with social media adoption. Whether you want to look at it like that or you just anecdotally observe people's behavior and how it's changed over the years, I think guys like us will be a lot more cautious and just aware of some of those dangers. So that's an interesting juxtaposition there, I think.
What if I told you that you could lower your tax bill and stack Bitcoin at the same time? Well, by mining Bitcoin with Blockware, you can. New guidelines from the Big Beautiful Bill allow American Bitcoin miners to write off 100% of their mining hardware investment in a single year. That's right, a 100% write-off. So if you had $100,000 of income or capital gains, you could write off that entire amount by investing it in Bitcoin mining hardware. Blockware's mining as a service allows you to start mining Bitcoin right now with minimal effort. Blockware handles everything from securing the miners to sourcing low-cost energy to configuring the mining pool. They do it all. You can stack Bitcoin at a discount every day and save big when tax season comes. So you can get started today by going to mining.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. Again, that's mining.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. Bitcoin custody is evolving. Onramp is pioneering a new model, multi-institution custody, which eliminates single points of failure and adds fault tolerance to your setup. With Onramp's multi-institution custody, your funds are auditable on-chain, cannot be rehypothecated, and can only be moved with your explicit direction. Multi-institution custody simplifies private key management, providing unparalleled peace of mind for you and your loved ones. Onramp also helps you seamlessly tap into financial services like trading, inheritance, loans, and more, all without compromising on accessibility. So schedule a consultation with the Onramp team today to learn more at onrampbitcoin.com/breedlove. Again, that's onrampbitcoin.com/breedlove. Boarding school would be a really good way to make your child very competent and adaptive, right? Because you're just sort of throwing them into the mix to some extent at a young age, like you said, on planes, traveling internationally. You're flexing that autonomy young, basically. But I can imagine sending my 11-year-old, like there's this, it's like, it's still so young. You want to like still be with you. Obviously your parents are both very professionally involved. I'm assuming at that age, because you were telling me earlier, they're still working even in their 70s. So like, have you thought about that for your children? Like, is boarding school in the cards for you? If so, what age? Like, what would that look like?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
And I think by the time, I think even a decade from now, I think it's very hard to predict what the world is going to look like even 10 years from now, let alone 20 years from now.
Yeah.
When people ask the question, especially even about higher education and university, 20 years from now, what's higher education even going to mean? What are universities going to look like? Are we still going to even think of them as physical spaces, or is it going to be much more online and virtual? I really don't know. I kind of take it day by day. And I also think that you always want to be adaptable. And I think one of the best things you can probably do for your kids, again, I say this as a humble new parent, is to train them to be able to adapt. Sure. Because the world's not going to look just like, okay, here's a perfect example. I mean, if you spoke to, when I was, let's say, go back to when I was 10 years old or even 15 years old, and someone were to explain to my parents what their youngest son was going to go on to do for a living.
No idea.
I'm like, what? What do you even mean? Like it wouldn't even have made sense. Like, it was like, what?
Where would they start? Do you think they would start with
telling your parents, your Rob is going to be he's going to have a podcast. Pod what?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, even in that relatively short space of time, things have changed so much. Since I became a musician, I put out my first album in 2006. That was like the peak of the physical CD market. That was when people were selling millions and millions of like physical copies. People were going to the store and, waiting for the new album and going out and buying it. Pre-iTunes, obviously pre-streaming, right? So just in my own music career, I went through like the physical realm, like peak of the CD market. And then all of a sudden this thing called like iTunes came along, and like the Google Music Store and Amazon Music Store, and you can now sell downloads like legally. Because before, when people thought of downloading, they thought of illegal piracy,
Napster, and all that. Yeah.
And then again, it shifted. Now there's something called Spotify, and Apple shifts from iTunes to Apple Music, and now it's like people aren't even buying the music; they're just like paying a subscription fee and they're renting it, and it's all on demand. Apple themselves stopped making the iPod. Remember the iPod, right? And it all shifted towards iPhones and so on. So even just in my, I think it's remarkable, like we're the same age. And if you just think of how much stuff technologically, culturally, socially, like in our own relatively short lifetimes,
2 decades,
so much stuff has changed. So yeah, I think you always have to be adaptable. It's important for us as entrepreneurs.
Sure.
Because things just change and you're not even in control of it. Even when the platforms don't change, the algorithms change.
Yeah.
Or like they can make one policy and suddenly what was doing incredibly well, all of a sudden, like it drops by 90% and you need to try something else. So I think you always have to be adaptable. You have to be resilient, but I think there are some very core skills that if you have, you're always gonna be able to find your way. You're always going to be able to succeed. I think certainly one of those is communication. I think mastering communication is probably going to get even more important because as it becomes easier to hide behind
ChatGPT and keyboards.
But even before AI, like so many Gen Zs and younger, I mean, they're afraid to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
Like they can't even just call someone. They're like, no, I want to text. You call them and they text you back.
Gosh, I'm the opposite. I just want to call people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got messages coming in and I'm like, maybe I need to be a little more formal about this. I should probably send a message and be like, hey, are you available for a call?
Yeah.
Just pick up and call. I'm old school
I think
that way.
Good to have those. It's good to have those skills. And do you know one of my favorite things from podcasting for all these years now is flexing the listening muscle.
Yeah.
So when you run a podcast, but you also guest on other people's, you become a better speaker you reduce your ums and ahs and your vocal farts, and you become better at kind of just freestyling off the top of your head and saying things that are compelling and make sense and are interesting to people. But also, especially as a podcast host, you spend most of your time just sitting there quietly, which is harder than it sounds.
Yes, I'm going through that process myself. I've been interviewed like 40, 45 times over the last year. And when he asked me to co-host the show, I'm like, okay, cool. And he was out of town and I had to interview somebody for the first time. And it was like, whoa, that was very different. It was a very different
We were
experience.
talking to a guy yesterday, and they do a whole practice called circling. But one of the main points was that listening is actually part of the conversation. Like it's not just passive. There's a very active component to it. And then you're, listening to listen versus listening to respond. That's kind of cliche, but you're also guiding in just like how your thoughts are interpreting what someone is saying. And the subtle non-verbal stuff you're giving back to them. Like you are subtly participating and guiding that conversation. And I think that, and one of my biggest gripes with podcasts and why I try to like give my guests a lot of room is when the host is always like interrupting them. And it's like, there's a sweet spot. I know, you want to let people say what they have to say, and you want to be able to say, well, you want to be able to participate, but I have always leaned into more like letting them run.
Yeah.
And then come in, with hopefully a thoughtful response rather than trying to like interject. Because I just found myself getting frustrated with those podcasts.
Yeah, same. And it shows that it's a skill.
Yeah.
It's listening doesn't really sound like a skill, but you really learn it is. I mean, if you really want to know that it's a skill, like learn a foreign language.
Yeah.
You'll quickly realize that just being able to just
Yes.
take in what's coming towards you and decipher it. Obviously, in your native language, you get to a point where you do it automatically. But as soon as you start learning another language, it's like,
slow down.
so active.
Yeah.
Like it's tiring. It's tiring. You're just listening and you're like, it's like this wave. So I think those skills are, because we're such a social species, I think that all through human history, communication skills have always been great to have. Being good at writing, reading, speaking, listening, knowing how to influence people, persuasion skills. This leads into, sales and marketing, if you even want to use those terms. So I think that that's like never going to go out of style. And I actually think that the percentage of people who are good at that, let alone great at it, is just
the premium goes up, the more people are just stuck on keyboards.
Yeah, it's decreasing.
Yeah.
I really noticed this, I want to say around the mid 2010s, because I used to, through all my years, just selling my music and my merchandise hand to hand. Throughout the course of that, I mean, I met about, if I were to estimate, between 400 and 500,000 people I had conversations with in person. Right? So if anyone wants to know, like, oh, how did you get good at talking? Or how, like, bro.
Reps.
You don't know. But when I tell people I've spoken to 500,000 people, they think I mean online.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I mean actually face to face having conversation, not just having conversations, but ultimately trying to sell people something and trying to sell them myself, because I'm the guy on the cover of the CD.
Right.
Yeah, that experience is borderline invaluable.
Yeah, dude. No one has that. Almost no one else has those reps.
Yeah.
Right. So one of my like secret skills is having that experience, which almost no one has, traveling to 60 plus different cities, talking to hundreds of thousands of people, facing so much rejection, but talking to groups, individuals, couples, old people, young people, English speakers, French speakers, Spanish speakers, people whose I don't know any of their language, but trying to, use hand signs to make a sale. I'm so glad I did that. It's such a unique opportunity, and it's also a window that's kind of closed now, because young musicians can't really do that because people aren't buying CDs now like they used to.
Right.
So that window has sort of closed to do it that way, that I and some of my fellow independent artists in the UK, and I know lots of guys in the States, obviously, like we got the model from the rappers in the States. That skill set is just it's dying. And so new ones are coming along, but I just think that's a good thing to always have. I think if you can raise kids who obviously, they're almost automatically going to be somewhat digital savvy, but if they can sit and look someone in the eye and maintain eye contact and have a firm handshake and know how to talk to people, it seems really basic. But I meet a lot of young people and they do not have that. Like they can't even look you in the eye. Like you're talking to them and they're very like just shy and skittish. And I'm like, man, like you detect it. I'm like, this is not.
It reminds me of the like idea that our conveniences are killing us. You know, people start to use these things as a crutch for communication, and then you start to forget the basics.
Bro, look at how people date these days.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking the same thing. I was just thinking the same thing. And this, yeah, it's so interesting that. So then, so back to the way you're raising kids is like you want to focus on adaptability, but really that's focusing on the basics, right? It's like because you don't, and it's kind of a humble way to raise them because you don't know, right? You don't know what's going to be happening in 10 years, 20 years. You don't know what jobs, you know, what's the next podcast that we don't even have the words for today. And so you just want the kids to have really like a really good philosophical foundation and then probably good use of language and communication skills.
Good moral foundation. That's
good
very
moral
important.
Foundation.
And I think learning how to learn.
Yes.
That's part of the adaptability thing. It's teaching them, well, that you can teach yourself things.
Yes.
Because education's a weird word because when someone says education, people tend to think of the institutions.
Yes.
Their brains go to schools and universities and colleges, especially if you say like higher education.
Right.
In the same way that if you say healthcare, people's brains go to the system and the institutions and so on. If you really think of what the word should mean, I mean, 99% of healthcare is like your diet, your sleep or lack thereof, your hobbies, your exercise routine. Like that's, I mean, unless you have like a particular illness or a debilitating condition, actually vast majority of healthcare is in your hands. What we call healthcare is really emergency healthcare, or some people call it sick care.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when something has gone wrong.
Right.
And now like if I'm in the hospital, something has broken already in the basic healthcare, whether it was my fault or not. So I think if people kind of thought about these things a little differently, it's a lot more empowering. If you think of healthcare as you yourself are mostly in charge of your healthcare, it puts the accountability and responsibility on you. It's like, yeah, all these systems and nurses and doctors and all that, they exist for when there's an emergency or for some preventative aspects, but it's mostly on you, bro. And I think the same with education. Like I often say, I mean, education is cheap. College is expensive. University is expensive. Tuition fees are expensive, but education itself has never been cheaper. Gosh, like we've got the internet.
Yeah.
To YouTube, I can learn so
books.
much on YouTube. It's incredible.
Cheap courses, free courses, YouTube. I mean, almost any subject that you wanted to become at least competent in, proficient in, you can learn for, I'd wager, like under $100 total. Maybe like several hundred hours of time investment. But in terms of actual monetary cost, it's really cheap. Like you want to learn how to produce music, you want to learn how to code, you want to learn how to start a podcast, you want to learn even law or biology. Like the resources out there are incredible.
Yeah, like sailor.org. I mean, that's full-blown university.
Free education.
Free education.
Yeah. Every time I'm reading a book now, it's so heavily, densely scientific. You could tell this person has spent thousands of hours accumulating the knowledge and that they have and then writing this book. The book's like $11. It's like for $11, you get this distillation of thousands of hours, people. And it's so, I'm blown away by it all the time.
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you one more thing, leaning on what you were talking about with parenting, is I also think one of the greatest skills will just be, I already see this with our generation, like all the generations, is the ability to use the tool for good, use the tool for productivity. Because, I mean, we all have access to the same tools. Like I think something like, I don't know, 6 billion people in the world or something now have smartphones, and about 4.5 billion are on social media at least a few times a month. So it's quite remarkable. It's like you give everybody the same tool and then you watch what people do with it. Some people create 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 figure businesses. Some people destroy their mental health. Some people do their best to destroy other people's mental health. Some people just use it to rant and rave about this thing or attack these people or do this or spread this. It's all the same tool. That's what I find so remarkable. So again, back to that accountability thing, people really like to blame social media, blame the internet, blame smartphones and smartphone manufacturers. You know, you've done this, you've done this, you've done. I'm like, dude, you could take that exact same tool and you could use it to learn anything you want. You could use it to start a business. You could use it to network with like the people I've been able to reach through the very same tool. Zuby, how did you get Elon Musk on your podcast? I asked him. He DM'd me. I DM'd him back and was like, "Would you like to come on my podcast?"
Didn't work for
like,
us.
Sure. Yeah, well, maybe it won't have 100%. But like, dude, if I think of the people around the globe that I've been able to connect with this little rectangle, from billionaire famous entrepreneurs to just everyday people who share some of my values and ideas, literally all across the world. It's amazing. I mean, I've had so many people. I've had 19-year-olds like DM me, "Hey Zuby, like I'm actually in Dubai for a couple of days. Like I really love your stuff. Like I'd like to just, meet. You have 30 minutes to just meet for coffee?" Sure, dude. This 19-year-old has just connect, like, boom. And I'm not saying like I'm not the biggest, greatest, but like it was that. That's a moment
for him though.
Yeah. But like you couldn't do that before. I've just dropped in cities before and I'm like, all right, who's in freaking Dallas? Like you message a couple people and next thing you know, you're in the real world, physically meeting with them and connecting with them. And I've been invited to the White House 3 times. I've been in the freaking Pentagon. I'm not even American. All that is from freaking Twitter.
That's incredible.
It's from Twitter. I got an invite the other day to, I got an invite to, what's the name of the SpaceX city, where they launch all their SpaceX
I don't know.
In
I don't know
Texas.
either.
Oh gosh.
Launchtown.
The name is literally just Stars. The name slipped my brain, but like the SpaceX headquarters.
Yeah.
Like I commented on a post like Elon had put with one of the space, and I was like, I literally posted, "Oh man, I'd love to visit one day." 2 days later, someone DMs me, "Oh hey, I work at SpaceX. Like, if you and your family would like to come visit, like."
Man, I've got to up my Twitter game.
I know. I'm feeling it. I haven't been making many posts for the last 6 months. I feel like I'm missing out.
How did we connect?
Yeah, through Twitter.
Right? I see. And I think this guy's saying interesting stuff. Oh, this guy's saying interesting stuff. Boom, connect.
I think it's such an important reframe too, because you're right. People throughout history have always blamed the tool. Like the trope about the leather shoe manufacturer, blaming the factory down the street that's like taking his job or whatever. But it's always the moral quality of what you do with it is always in you ultimately, right? The phone does not make you dumber, right? It can hijack your amygdala if you sit there and just doom scroll all day. But like and this back to the kids, it's like teaching them their self-programmability, if that's the right term. It's like that they own their education, that you're sovereign ultimately over what data, information, lessons, impressions you consume, right? Who you spend time with, all of these things that in taking sovereignty over that, you can actually make yourself into whatever it is you wish to be. Yeah. And that's a much more autonomous perspective than just, the smartphones are destroying us. Social media is destroying us. Like but on social media too, you always see the two sides of the coin, right? Because it is, you can go on social media and you can look at ass and titties all day, right? That's everywhere on social media. But you can also like go into all these interesting rabbit holes. You can learn about Bitcoin. You can learn about paleo, carnivore diets.
Literally how I learned about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Back in 2017, 2018. I keep hearing that word and let me look into this a little more. And I fall down this rabbit hole of, there's this guy, you start following people and every day they're talking about, Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that, and you do reading and they start recommending books and you're like, okay, cool. We'll go on. Boom. Again, 2 taps. The book is freaking delivered to you the following day. Like guys, we live in, I know there's a lot of challenges. A lot of challenges with the modern world, but we live in like a ridiculous time of opportunity where you can just, and it doesn't matter. Before, these things used to be so geographically isolated. Like it used to really be the case. Like, look, if you're born in this particular, I don't know, you're in this inner city or you're in this country, whatever, like how are you going to get access to like entrepreneurs, smart people, mentors, and so on? Now you can have, like someone could literally just tomorrow go, just make a YouTube account, make an X account, make an Instagram account, and I'm just going to follow the 100 most, in whatever sector you're in, the 100 people who just inspire me the most and who are the most educational in business, in Bitcoin, in fitness, in real estate, and what you could just follow them. Don't follow everyone else. Just follow them and just consume, interact with their stuff. You'll soon start getting messages back. Oh, cool. Thanks for this. Right. Like now you're interacting with these people who like are, you might in your mind, like they're like way up there. Yeah. And now you're, building rapport with them and you're connecting. And in the past, you couldn't do that, even if you really wanted to.
That's right.
That's why so many people always, you've got to move to LA, you've got to move to New York, you've got to move to London, because that's where the people are, that's where everything's happening, that's where all the jobs, all the opportunities. Now it's like it's there. Should you choose to use it? Yeah. You can fry your brain with TikTok for 8 hours a day if you want, and a lot of people do. You could also do something very remarkable with it. And so, I always like to remind people that, what I think is one of the biggest problems in the world, and I think always has been, is I think the average person has way more power than they think they do. I'm a big believer that the typical average everyday person, man, woman, actually has a lot of power, but they don't realize it. And because they don't realize it, it allows bad actors, whether they're in the form of governments or shady corporations or wicked tyrants or whatever, it allows all the bad stuff is allowed to happen because the typical person just doesn't even realize the power that they have. And so they outsource it. They outsource it to other people. They outsource it to the state. They outsource it there. They outsource it there. And that's why, you talk to them and nothing is their fault. Nothing is their responsibility. They're not accountable for anything. It's, the economy or, the 1% or this group, that group, whatever the narrative, there's someone,
abdicating of the responsibility to some other group. Yeah. It's their fault that I'm not whatever I wish to be. I love how this word authority is related to the word author. And it's like when people don't, exactly what you're saying, people are powerful. People do have the ability to self-author their lives. But if they don't do that, then an authority like fills the gap.
Yes.
Right. Someone said once something like, if you don't write your own story, then you'll be written into someone else's, kind of thing. And I feel like that's a lot of the Bitcoin thing too. It's like, we're just trying to tell people that. It's like, we're just trying to tell people that.
It's the biggest hurdle.
And the programmability thing. It's like both. It's like, yes, you're in charge of your own life. And if you don't like the direction you're going, you're literally one action away from starting a whole new trajectory. And you can create yourself differently than whatever you've been in the past. Yeah. And so just helping people, awakening people to that reality, which ironically turns out to be very anti-woke.
It's the biggest hurdle in in any sector I think of. It's actually the biggest hurdle. Say someone wants to lose weight. The biggest hurdle isn't like the complexity of how to do it, or that they genuinely, are incapable of exercising, or like they truly, yes, of course, some people have a thyroid issue, but like what percent actually do, right? Like most people are fully capable of getting in good shape. Like, maybe they're not going to be like top tier, but they'll be in good shape. But just getting them over themselves, like getting past their limiting beliefs, getting out of the victim mentality, getting out of the blaming everything and everyone except yourself. It's the hardest. It's actually the hardest thing to do. It's the same. If you're trying to orange pill, as we say, someone on Bitcoin, it's hard to get them out of their own way.
Yes.
It's like, no, but this, like it's not that Bitcoin is particularly difficult to explain, or like it's super complicated to buy. It's not any of that. It's just like the psyche and I don't know the right term, the resistance to learning something new. Maybe it's that, something I do say a lot is I firmly believe that most people are actually very conservative. When I say that, I don't mean it in a political sense. I mean, most people are very averse to change. once someone does something a certain way, has certain habits, thinks about things a certain way, holds certain opinions, getting them to change that is very difficult.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what it is. Like there's a natural, okay, this is what I'm used to. This is what I know. This is what I'm going to stick with. Which, by the way, like we probably need to survive, right? Because you don't want to be doing all these every single day. You don't want to be waking up and starting from the beginning of working out. All right, what am I going to do today? What am I going to think? But it's, I don't know. Again, people need to maintain the stuff that works, but then be willing to adapt and be open-minded enough to listen. Like, okay, like I've got some huge gaps in my knowledge. There are plenty of people who know more about all sorts of things than I do. And there are some particular areas which I just think are like very high ROI. This is one of the things I find actually very fascinating about Bitcoin. To me, it's such a spending, let's say, spending 3 hours learning about Bitcoin, obviously better, 10, 20, 100, but even that first 3 hours or 5 hours is insanely high ROI.
Big time.
Like insane. Like if you're someone who's just, because I see people who, it's funny. Like I've been tweeting about Bitcoin publicly since I think 2018. I had my first tweet about Bitcoin, right? And I never delete my tweets, so I can go back and you can read the responses, people saying that, right? And then I can tweet something about Bitcoin in 2025, and I see the same person who was there 7 years ago, still saying like, "Oh, I just don't understand it," or what. It's like in that 7 years, had you just taken the time, and I know this because I went through this process myself.
Yeah.
Like everyone, the very first time I heard the word Bitcoin, I didn't go and do a deep dive. Freaking wish I did.
Same.
Right? No one does. But like you hear it multiple times. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to like take a couple hours this afternoon. Let me just see what is going, and then you get pulled into the rabbit hole and you learn more and you learn more. And once the seed is planted, you naturally keep learning more over time. And the more you learn, the more your conviction grows and so on. And it's just like, back in 2017, had I just done just in this one area, had I just done what most people do, shrug, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's a scam, blah, 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 right? Just the usual dismissive stuff, I would be in such a worse position now. My family would be in a worse position. We'd all just be like worse off because you couldn't just humble yourself and take some time. And the thing I always say to people is you're already on the phone.
Yeah.
You're asking me all these, like you're already, go to Google and ask the same question. Go to freaking AI, go to Grok, go to whatever your ChatGPT. Just type in a prompt. It's easier now, right? Like just type it in and it'll spit you out an essay.
I'm so glad you said that. I get so frustrated with people because one of the criticisms often wielded against me is like, oh, he uses big words and word salad and all this stuff. But when people are tweeting at me, they're like, what does that word mean? I'm like, are you kidding me?
It took more effort to write the tweet than to Google it.
Long click the word and hit define. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, they've even made it even easier on phones where like you can like highlight it.
Right.
And it'll like...
So the idea of they're using more effort to ask me to wait for a response to get the definition to the word that they themselves could get with less effort was just like mind boggling.
Well, then the hubris to think that you're going to stop and like, oh, let me just stop my busy day and just
and sometimes I do. I'm like, define the word, you dumbass. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, but it's hard to get people. Like I often say, people are really their own greatest oppressors. And I think it's true of all of us, even those of us who are very, disciplined and conscientious and into self-development and so on. The biggest challenger is not some entity or individual out there who's just like trying to keep you down. Right. They're just, maybe someone has that in their life, in which case probably, like get away from that person somehow. But like for most people, there isn't most people are not oppressed. Like if you're in the Western world, you live in the USA, you're not oppressed, man. Like, you live in the UK, you live in it's 2025. Like there's not this entity that is just like, oh, I just want this person or that type of person to like, I'm trying to hold them down. It's in people's heads.
They're probably connected to some extent. Like if you haven't met yourself at that level, then you're more likely to be vulnerable to that type of oppression or manipulation. Because I'm thinking like say someone we use this term sometimes here, it's not hopefully too derogatory, but it's like the normies, we often call them like the people in the matrix, right? They're the programs. They haven't awakened to the reality of fiat currency being a scam and they're kind of trapped inside of that matrix. But again, they're 3 hours away or X number of hours away of having that revelation. And then the exit is very low effort as well. Yes. So it's the options and the education, the information, like it's all available. So back to your point, it's like you are the only one in the way. Like who else is in the way?
Yeah.
It's especially just you.
Especially when people are like telling you or showing you, hey, like,
yes,
this is a thing. You know, Bitcoin is such a good example of this because, you know, we could talk about Bitcoin. We could talk about physical fitness. It's something that like you have at some point in your life, you have discovered or someone introduced you to, and it's made a very significant positive difference in your life. And so naturally, as a decent and ethical person, you feel some type of compulsion to tell other people about it, right? It's not like, oh, you're trying to pump your bags, you're run some scam or something. It's just like, hey, like, you know, like I used to be fat. I was a fat kid, right? By modern day standards, I wasn't that fat, right? But like, but by the standards of the 90s, right? I was a fat kid. My peak weight, I weighed more, check this out. I weighed more 24 years ago than I weigh now.
Really?
Crazy.
Yeah. I'm 39. I weighed more when I was 15.
So when were your fat kid years?
I'd say like 8 to 15, maybe.
You think that was exacerbated by being a vegetarian?
Probably because I wasn't like a good vegetarian. I was like, I can eat all the cheese and French fries I want, right?
Yeah.
Also, like again, by today's standards, I don't think someone would have looked at me as a kid and been like, "Oh, he's fat," because kids are getting really, really fat now. But yeah, like I wasn't in shape. I wasn't. You know, no one would have looked at me and been like, "Oh, wow, this guy's got lucky genetics or something."
I was also a husky. I'll use the word from 8 to 14. Okay, actually, that picture you asked about earlier is when I'm 14. I started to like get tall and lean out,
stretch out.
Do you find that affected you? Like I've become fitness obsessed in my adult life. And I really think, I remember going to pool parties and it's like all the kids would take their shirt off and I didn't feel so comfortable taking my shirt off. And so that feeling of lacking confidence actually like imprinted itself quite seriously on me to the point where, you know, I don't know if it's body dysmorphia per se, but like, if I'm not in my peak physical shape that I know I'm capable of, then I don't feel like fully in my power or confidence or whatever it may be. Whereas like, you know, your wife or your girlfriend is like, "Oh no, you look amazing." And so I like, did that imprint on you in any way?
For sure.
Yeah, I had this opposite issue. I was in pretty good shape growing up and then didn't need to work out. And now I'm like, fuck, I'm 40 years old. I need to take care of this shit. Like, whoa.
One of my highest health priorities is keeping my brain in top shape. To take care of my brain power, I do many things, such as striving to read, write, exercise, and meditate daily. One of the latest tools in my brain power toolkit is Mind Lab Pro. Mind Lab Pro is a nootropic supplement that is scientifically proven to enhance your brain power. When I take Mind Lab Pro, my mind feels like it has a better grip on the world, my thinking is more lucid, and the articulation of my speech is radically improved. MindLab Pro has been tested in rigorous, double-blind, placebo-controlled human trials and has been proven to enhance brain power for users in every age group. MindLab Pro is an advanced formulation of 11 nootropic ingredients and is backed by research from over 1,400 human trials conducted over the past 32 years. So if you're looking to enhance your brain power, MindLab Pro is an excellent solution. Go to mindlabpro.com/breedlove to start enhancing your brain power today. Again, that's mindlabpro.com/breedlove. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably get it. You get that Bitcoin changes everything. For those of us that get it, it is important that we use a smart way to buy and hold Bitcoin. My friends at Coinbits, the oldest Bitcoin-only exchange in the United States, have recently pioneered the concept of roundups, which lets you turn your spare change into Bitcoin. Simply connect your payment cards and all your purchases will be rounded up to the nearest dollar, letting you stack sats without even thinking about it. My favorite feature is Coinbits Plus. For $10 a month, you get the best spreads on Bitcoin, which lets power users save on fees and buy even more Bitcoin. All that, plus peer-to-peer payments, target orders, price alerts, and more, means you can do almost anything you want to do with Bitcoin using Coinbits. So go to coinbits.app/breedlove to sign up today. Again, that's coinbits.app, coinbits.app/breedlove.
It's kind of funny because all you're really trying to do is like help people. If I look at my career for the last 20 years, like it all just started with music. And even in my music, anyone who's listened to my songs or albums, older ones, newer ones, knows that, my message has always been uplifting and positive, particularly in the world of hip hop. It's never been, gang banging and shooting and drugs, guns, hoes, all that. Like, again, I don't curse in the real world. I don't curse in my music, never have. So I've always wanted to put out a positive message to people.
You don't ever just drop an F-bomb?
No, never.
Incredible.
That's impressive.
I love that.
I aspire to
You'll
that.
find zero.
Yeah, I feel like
I don't think I ever have. Ever.
Incredible.
No,
That's
I can't even
impressive.
I know the word.
Yeah.
I can't picture it coming out my mouth.
Yeah, I'll work on not being such a vulgar prick. Yeah,
no.
It's hard.
No one
impressive.
in my family does though.
That's
No,
great.
no one in my family does. My parents never did. My siblings don't. But like, what was I going to say? I just think it's hard. Like I kind of sort of ping pong back and forth sometimes between like really feeling motivated to like try to like help as many people as I can in various ways, whether that's to think a little bit better or to teach them about this thing or that thing, or try to encourage people to get in better shape, or just to tweak their mindset a little bit to not feel like victims and to be more empowered. Normally I'm in that mode. Sometimes, like everyone, I'm still a human being, and sometimes you're just like, what, it's not worth it. Like we're doomed,
What does that look like for a guy who's so positive and have such good energy? Like when you hit those moments of being like, oh man, this is a mess. I feel like I'm frustrated. And
I just go back into the real world. And, I spend most of my time in the real world. I have a large social media presence, but I'm very much like I'm much more in the real world than I am online. And so in the real world, I find that most people are decent, or at least trying to be. Things are pretty civil. I'm not seeing all the conflict and hatred and nastiness and all most of the stuff I see online, I don't really see in the real world.
Is that algorithmically messed up, or are we being psyoped, or is it both? Like, is the algorithm put a certain way to create this division, or is it just what bleeds leads, and that's what people want to see, and so they get more of that?
It's an excellent question. I just think normal doesn't go viral. Normal doesn't make the news.
Yeah.
You're not going to look in the newspaper and it was a sunny day in Miami. It was 95 degrees. People got on well with each other. Black people were nice to each other. White people were nice to each other and nice to, in between. Men were nice to women. Kids were running around.
There's no story there.
Democrats got along with Republicans fine. And that's not news.
Yeah.
So almost by definition, anything you see going viral on social media or making the news is by definition an anomaly. But there are so many anomalies that exist that you can, if you spend too much time consuming that, you can easily get the picture that everything is far, far worse than it is. And this goes across borders too. Like it's so fascinating. I mean, I know Americans who are afraid to travel to the UK. I know British people who are afraid to travel to the US. They're like, I would never step foot in the USA. It just looks so dangerous. Because when the USA makes the news in the UK, what is it? School shooting, mall shooting, some insane foreign policy thing. Donald Trump said some crazy thing, right? Like it's never just a normal.
Right. Only the worst of the worst makes it overseas.
Normal America does not make the news in America, let alone worldwide.
Yeah.
Right. If you hear news from London here, was it? Oh, like some, like
it's all people going to jail for Twitter posts.
Someone went to jail for Twitter posts. Someone got stabbed. Like some, and this it's true it's true all over. And then with social media, it's more amplified. And I'll tell you what I think also happens. Very much like thinking on the fly here. I think that now that everyone is always walking around with a camera and video camera, we visually see so much more crazy stuff. So this actually links back to a question you guys were asking before when you were talking about like how the 90s and 2000s were statistically safer. Were statistically more dangerous than the 2020s, even though it doesn't seem that way. I think it's because even then, even if you looked at stats, they were stats. You very rarely saw a video. This is why, like, there were certain things that did go quote unquote viral prior to this current era, right? Remember I don't remember, but a very famous example, like the Rodney King incident in LA. I don't even know what year that was.
Oh, imagine if that happened today.
But the reason it led to all the riots is because of the video.
It went viral.
People got to see it.
Even
Right? People
even
got to see it.
even as far back as like MLK protesting. Way back, like that went viral because it was captured on
it's
not digital media, but media.
Yeah, you can see it. If regardless of someone's views on the George Floyd thing, whether they believe he died of drugs or they believe he was killed by the police officer, if that had not been caught on video, what would have been the response? It would have been very muted. It would have been probably just local news.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm in the UK and I see it. People in Australia now people are protesting in Berlin and in London and in Sydney, Australia over someone dying in Minneapolis. What? Like, so in now, I think, because if you think, man, my brain's working ahead of my mouth. If you think all through human history, if you saw someone being killed, or you saw a crime happen, or you saw a city on fire or something, it meant you actually saw it. You were there.
Right.
That's what it meant. Because there weren't photos, there weren't videos.
Yeah.
So for thousands upon thousands of years, all of our ancestors, anytime they saw something that violent or horrific, it meant they saw it with their own eyes. And now, I don't think our brains have magically, in the last 20 years, perfectly managed to separate out, oh, I am seeing this thing on my screen, and it feels like I'm there, even though I'm not. And so you see it all, like whatever, anywhere in the world. It could be stuff happening in the Middle East. It could be Ukraine war, Russia. It could be police, attacking. It could be police civilian interactions and shootings. It could be whatever. Like, so much stuff is actually captured visually now. And I think that is making people think that things are getting a lot worse. Yeah. But I think also it scares people. It makes people feel, because, like I said, because you saw it. Yeah. And last point I'll make on this. Sorry, man. Last point I'll make on this. I'm just thinking here. I'm kind of running with this idea. Is I also think that what's weird is it's led to a very strange situation where something can be. It's going to sound strange. It's like something can simultaneously be real, but the perception it creates is fake. So let's say you are someone who feels very passionately or is particularly worried about, let's say, police violence against Black people. You can go online and you could find easily over 100, you could find hundreds, at least, hundreds of videos of whatever color, police officers in the USA killing Black people. You can find hundreds of videos. And so if you sat and you watched them all, by the end of it, what would you be thinking? Holy, this is happening all the time. This is an epidemic. This is a freaking genocide. The police are completely out of control. Everything is racist. It's dangerous to be a Black person in America, so on and so forth. And all those videos you watched are of real incidents. Those really happened. But the perception it creates is not real.
Right.
You see what I mean, right? So you'd watch that and you will think, oh my gosh. Have you ever seen that? Did you see that poll they did where they actually asked people of different political persuasions how many unarmed Black people are killed by police in the U.S. every year? And they had to give an estimation. I have not seen that. You have to look at this poll.
That's interesting.
So a lot of people, particularly like liberal Democrat voters, there were like different categories. I think it was like under 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10,000, 10,000 plus. Okay. I think most liberals, I think, picked 10,000 plus unarmed black people killed by police per year, and then under 10,000, between 5 and 10,000. Whereas the real number of that year, I think, was 12.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. It was 12. And so, and even Republicans, even conservatives, even, the blue type, like everyone severely overestimated it.
Yeah.
Because they know of every single incident. They've seen the videos, they've seen the pictures, they've seen the response to it and so on. And I just think this happens with almost every issue. Whatever your thing that triggers you or scares you is, if you are a feminist-leaning woman who believes that there's, the patriarchy and men are oppressing women and so on and so forth, again, you can find infinite examples online of men doing horrible things to women. Assaults,
true, yeah.
Violence, murder, all over the. You can see pictures. You can see so you can see that if you're a man who thinks that feminism is all the women have just gone crazy and there's this feminist brain virus and it's not even worth dating and certainly not worth marrying and like it's all just you're black pilled. You can find infinite videos that will validate.
Yes.
That will completely validate. Like, because I see those videos myself and I'm like, oh my God, right? I'm like, geez, like are all the women just gone absolutely crazy?
This is I think you're describing like the digital amplification of confirmation bias, right? Yes. It's like there is just so much out there that whatever belief structure you have, you can go out and corroborate the absolute shit out of that thing. Mm-hmm. But then it doesn't map onto the statistical reality, as you're saying. No. So it reminds me, I love this quote too. I think it hits here. It's like, the problem with humanity is we have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technologies.
Ooh.
Right?
Whose quote is that?
I think it's E.O. Wilson, maybe.
That's good.
And I hope I'm saying it correctly, but like the mirror neurons, the empathy, everything is activated when we see that violent crime, right? And if you count it in your life, like how many of those have you seen up close with your own eyes? Like I'm thinking about
zero.
Near zero. Like I've seen some bad fights and stuff, but then online, it's like I've seen, I don't even know, like thousands upon thousands and thousands.
And this is
there's the dissonance there.
Yeah. How do you navigate the social realm and stay properly calibrated and grounded? Because it is hard to not have your perception of the world heavily distorted.
It's a fantastic question. Before I answer it,
okay,
I'm going to.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to throw that one in there before we went on because I've been thinking that for the last 10 minutes.
Back to something you asked earlier. So there's all of what we just said, and then you were asking about the algorithms. So we know how the algorithms work. The more time you spend watching something, or the more you click on something, the more of that type of thing it shows you. So once you watch one or two or three of those type of videos, whether you're on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or X, what does it start? Oh, you like these videos of like crazy woke, madness, transmania, right? And so it starts slamming you with more and more and more of those videos. You start watching those fight videos or violence videos going on, and it starts feeding you. Even accounts you don't even follow will start, their videos start popping up in your feed and so on. So I think that's where the technology like steps in and exacerbates it even more because it pulls people. Just like if you start watching Bitcoin content, it starts pulling you into the Bitcoin rabbit hole. So I do see why there are people who have this perception of whichever kind of way they fall, I can see how they get there, right? Like I know I've seen people get like radicalized in all sorts of directions, some positive, some negative.
Yeah.
But I can see how they got there because I'm like, man, you're spending perhaps hours a day just seeing this over and over and over. And then you're not just seeing it, you're also seeing what people are saying about it.
Right.
And some of it is real. We also know that there are lots of bots.
Yeah.
So some of those comments, it's like, is this even, because you might see it and then you look in the comments and it makes you even angrier because you're seeing what people are saying, right? Maybe some horrible thing happens and someone is like, yeah, good. And you're like, what? Like what's, maybe that account may not have even been real, right? That could have been like some Chinese bot farm. Yeah. Just like, hey, stir up some crap. And it's very messy. So now let me answer your question. How do you stay sane? It's a good question. I think I'm pretty good. I've been on social media for 21 years.
Yeah, you have phenomenal energy for somebody who is in the trenches, man.
Years. I joined Facebook 2004.
Yeah.
And MySpace 2004.
How do you stay sane? How do you say, like, what do you use to calibrate yourself when there's all this amplification of, I don't know, bad information or falsities or whatever?
Let me give a couple things. I think first, it's important to be more grounded in the real world than you are online. If your view of the world and of people is coming mostly more from online than it is from the real world, you're going to have a distorted picture. Mm-hmm. You just will. It doesn't even matter the topic, you will. So it's important to stay grounded and exist in the real world. Talk to people in real life. Go do things. Go live in the world. I can tell when people don't do this because let me give an example. Sometimes I'll be online and there's a comment I see quite often, which is because I'm like a positive person. I put out positive stuff and I often talk about like how actually like most people are pretty good and decent. And I've traveled to almost 50 countries and 26 US states so far. Not bad for a Brit. And I've met so many thousands of people and, most people are decent or at least trying to be. Someone will be like, oh no, that's not true. Most people are bad. Most people are, this. And I'm like, do you know how I know that that's not true? Because if it were, none of cities wouldn't be able to exist. Mm-hmm. If most people were bad, if most people were criminal, if most people were predatory, if most people were so selfish and callous that they genuinely don't care about anyone else, you wouldn't be able to drive on the highway. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be able to just we'd be living in Mad Max, right? You turn the corner and someone's sticking you up. You can't let your kids out the house because someone's gonna you wouldn't be. Our civilization would not function if most people were actually bad. If someone says most people are self-centered, sure, of course they are. Most people are thinking about themselves, but most people are not trying to hurt or harm anybody else. You're not walking down the street and someone,
It's a statistical impossibility.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and it's funny because in every society, you actually have to build so many structures and institutions and legal systems just to deal with the small percentage of people who are genuinely bad and malicious. Want to see a phenomenal example of this? You look at El Salvador. They locked up 1% of the population and homicides dropped to 99%.
Bingo.
1% of people was doing 1% of people was doing all the killing. All of them, right? So it went from being the most dangerous country on the planet to being the safest in the Western Hemisphere by, hey, this 1% of people, jail. Okay. So people can have their opinions, but it shows just how skewed, we talk about the Pareto principle, 80-20, but it can be one.
Well, it's exponential too. Cause 4% do 64% and 1% do 99.
You see it everywhere. Anytime, you hear about a bad crime and, they finally catch, they've got a rap sheet this long, he's done this, he did this, he did this, he did it's very rare. Someone who's just been stand-up citizen. Yeah.
Bob from accounting.
Yeah. Suddenly he's 35 years old and he decides to go out and do something crazy. Normally it's the same people, the same people doing all the crime. Right. And so, first thing, be grounded in reality and just interact with people and you'll realize most people are decent. Life's not that bad. People aren't, you see all this, is America on the brink of civil war? It's no, it's not. It's not.
It's
go outside. Go outside.
Yeah.
I don't care. True. Even if you're in you're in Chicago, you're in St. Louis, still go outside. Yeah. It's not everyone's just shooting at each other. It's bro, no, the USA is far from a civil war. It's never been this bad, bro. Read a history book. Yeah. Seriously. Read a history book. So that's number one. Number two is, curate who you follow. Again, this comes back to people having a lot of power. You literally pick who you follow. You don't log online and you're already following these 1,000 accounts. You pick on each platform, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X. I've never used TikTok, but probably TikTok. You literally choose the people you follow.
It's so funny how you can say something so obvious, but it still sounds like an epiphany. I can't do that.
The duh factor is just off the charts.
This account, if every time you're seeing its posts, it's making you feel mad or making you feel
unfollow them.
Are people addicted to that though? Yes. It's a fear feedback loop. Yeah. I always just look at everything as either love or fear, and I know that that's really maybe overly simplistic, But yeah, it feels like there's that fear feedback loop. I experienced it when I was traveling last year, which is the first time I did any real traveling.
Oh, cool.
I was like, oh yeah, people are much more cooperative, and generally their default and how they treat each other was like much better than I thought it was. And I don't think I was like had a really skewed perception, but it had been somewhat influenced by social media.
Yeah. And it's true about, I've been to, I think 45 countries. I have never been to a country where I was like, the people here are just bad. Mm-hmm. Like I've never been to a city where I've been to places which feel more dangerous than others, but I've never been somewhere where I'm just like, the majority of people here are like, maybe this place exists, right? And I haven't been there.
But it wouldn't exist for long, to your earlier point. Like if it was a city and 51% of the people were bad and predatory, well, then the thing would collapse.
Exactly.
Right? Like you can't have any social cohesion if 51% or most of the people are bad.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a non-starter.
Or the government. Like I think about North Korea. Like North Korea is not going to be able to do what it's been doing forever.
No,
like
I agree.
It has to change. They're either going to collapse or they're going to reform, or there's going to be a change. It's not a sustainable model.
It's a when, not an if.
Yeah.
So yeah, curate your feed. And you can go a little more granular on this as well. I mean, you can like on X, you can mute words. Mm-hmm. So if there's a topic you're just tired of hearing about, or you don't want it being like, you don't want your feed being like hyper political or whatever, like you can literally just these words don't even show up on my timeline. Any post containing this word, it won't even show up on your feed. You can do that. You can, if there's an account that's like really, really aggressive, you can literally block them, let alone not follow. You can mute. So you can curate what you want to spend. And then you also can curate how much time you spend. You can monitor your screen time. So I think the average is like 3 to 4 hours a day now.
It's crazy.
Wow.
In some demographics, like teenage girls, I think it's as high as 6 to 7 hours a day just on screen time, social media.
Rewiring the brain.
So yeah, so you can curate how long you spend on it. And then also I think the last one is just actually two more. One is just be intentional. And we all of us can fall victim to like doom scrolling, right? Like you said, that loop. And by the way, I think the reason it happens is because I think when we think of dopamine, we tend to think of it as just like a happy feel-good hormone. But I think, someone could fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure that like angertainment creates the same dopamine kick where you can actually start to, in a very perverse way, kind of enjoy
Angertainment.
Well, anger is the one emotion where you can have both positive and negative chemical releases as related to it.
It's like, we're all, none of us are fans of like what we call like woke nonsense. Yeah. Okay. But there's something kind of like, we could probably spend an hour just watching like insane woke reels and rants and screens. And like part of you is like, angry about it, but you're also kind of laughing and you're just like, this is
a sick, twisted way you like it.
You kind of want to see more of it because you're just like, look at this crazy person, like it's still creating an emotional reaction. So what was the point I was just making before I got distracted?
Ways to stay grounded in the real world, outside of digital social media world.
Limit the amount of time, stay grounded in reality, curate your feed. Be cautious with just the total amount of time you're spending. Oh yeah, I was just talking about being intentional. Mm-hmm. So because we carry the smartphone around with us all the time, it's very easy. We all do this. Like anytime there's a pause, a moment of potential boredom, waiting in a line,
red lights,
sitting on a train, red light in your car, even at the freaking urinal in the men's bathroom, there's a temptation, even if literally 60 seconds ago, you checked for you checked if any, there's the temptation just to pull it out again and just spend a few seconds, just whatever, pick your favorite app, open something, look at a few posts and put it away again. Just being intentional. So when I catch myself doing that, I try to, if I'm going to bring out my phone and open an app, I try to think of like, why am I doing this? Is this just a boredom killer? Which, once in a while is fine. But like, okay, I'm opening Instagram to make this post, or I haven't checked my DMs in a while. I'm going to go through my DMs and I'm going to reply to everyone, or I'm going to check back on the comments of this post I made 12 hours ago and try to like and respond to some things. I try to be intentional rather than just pulling it out and getting sucked into whatever happens. And then actually a big one, and I've done this for years, is take a day a week off. It's a big one. And if you can't, then you need to.
Yeah, right.
If you find that hard,
yes.
If you find that hard, or me saying that makes you go, ooh, I don't know if I could do that, then that absolutely means you need to. So I take Sundays off.
That reminds me, like, everyone should meditate half an hour a day. Unless you don't have time, then you should meditate an hour a day.
That's funny.
Same principle.
Yeah, my daughter made me realize how much I would just like mindlessly, unconsciously like pull my phone out and like get on to check on what's happening in the world. And when I got my little girl running around and she's like, "Hey, Dad," I'm like realizing like, what the fuck? I need to put this phone down.
Yeah, the intentionality I think is actually difficult too. Like happens all the time. I pick up my phone to do a specific thing. You know, like I'm going into Twitter to DM this person back about something work related, probably to be on the show. And before you know it, 10 minutes later, I'm like somewhere else. And I'm like, wait, how did I get here? Like, you're like the Hulk coming back down to reality. You're like, where am I?
Watching woke reels.
Yeah. And man, it's again, you say it and it's remarkably simple, but I find myself like fully knowledgeable of it, having my amygdala hijack moment or whatever it is. And it happens all the time.
We all do. Like when I say all this, it's a reminder to myself as well. Like, it's not I have times when I'm very, very good at this. And then for me, the time when if I'm just genuinely staying busy in the real world, like throughout this whole conversation, I've had zero impetus to even, my phone's not even on, like, it's not even on the table. Like I've had zero impetus to look at it. You guys have my full attention. And so for me, when I'm most prone to it is when I'm genuinely like I have a 3-hour layover in an airport.
For sure.
And like just so, but I also give myself more grace in those times. That's when I'm more likely to do like an AMA and ask me anything, or like something a little more, I don't know, involved just to engage with followers. And I think we also have the extra complexity because you've got a large online following and people, you're a producer, you're not like, you're not just a consumer, you're a producer. People want to hear from you. You want to interact with people, you want to engage. You do use it for your business. So like you said, you might pull it out to do something business related and then you tip from producer mode into consumption mode.
And when you have a large following, there's always a notification of some kind, right? It's something, hey, look at this, hey, look at that.
Oh, another one. I turn all that off.
Yeah.
I do the same.
I do the same.
Yeah, I can't imagine being you guys. I got like 9,500 followers on X, and it's like it's hard to keep up with.
I do all
100X that many.
All notifications on my phone are off. Basically, I'm on like airplane mode when it's in my pocket. Like I don't ever want it chirping at me, basically, unless I'm in a very specific moment where I want to like take a call. But then when you open it, you see the bubble with 20 plus notifications. That's good. Okay, then I need to figure out. I didn't know you could turn that off. Actually,
I don't even have that.
I need to figure that out.
So when I check stuff when I want to check stuff.
Yeah,
and even like on X in particular, where I've got my biggest following, a lot of people ask me like, "Dude, how do you even see response?" Like, I don't see most stuff. Like, I don't use my notification tab at all, and obviously I have all of them switched off. So if I want to see responses to a tweet, I go to that post that I made. And I'll scroll through and look at the replies and decide whether or not I want to reply. Sometimes I just, post and ghost. But, I always try to, respond to at least, even if it's just a like, I try to respond to like at least 50 people a day, probably like approximately. But even then, if it falls by the wayside, it's okay.
Yeah.
If, I hate feeling like I missed something that's like important. But I also think normally things reach me somehow. Like if it's important, it'll get to me. Even another one of my followers will see it in my thing and will DM me saying, "Hey, did you see so-and-so was trying to reach you," or something. My wife sometimes like lets me know.
Yeah.
Like the other day, like Andrew Huberman like replied to one of my things and I had no awareness. Like, cause I just posted something. She was, "Oh, like Huberman like actually wrote," I was like, "Oh, thanks for letting me know. Like, let me go back." Because I actually want to, reply and engage.
Yeah.
So you also just have to accept, especially if you have a big following. You have to just accept like you're gonna miss some things, and you can only do what you can do.
Yeah. What do you do to not feel pulled on? Like, is that what part of like, was that pull from like all the comments and the notifications? Why because it seems like I didn't even know you could turn the notification function off within Twitter, right? So you mean you don't get a little bell when you go into your Twitter? It doesn't say like you have 112 notifications.
No. If you look at my phone now, it won't show anything.
Yes, you don't get sucked into that poll where you feel like you need to respond to the world.
No. And when I look, I have modes where I have times where intentionality again, I have times where I'm just going to spend the next half an hour just replying to people. You know, if I'm like with my family or I'm with friends or I'm out for a meal or something, like that always, real world human interaction will always take priority. But if I'm just by myself and I just have some like dead time or I'm, you know, in the back of an Uber. Actually, I can't really do it in an Uber because I get car sick, so I don't look at my phone in cars. But, you know, if I'm on a train, in an airport, which I am quite often or whatever, and then, yeah, like, you know, I'm just going to spend an hour just commenting and replying and just interacting and engaging, going through my DMs that I've missed and just replying to people. Because, you know, that's important too. I don't want to be some people are like, I've had people be like, man, like you're at the stage where you should just like post and ghost. And I don't like that. I don't like that because for a lot of reasons, actually, because I genuinely value my followers, let alone my like supporters, people who actually like support stuff and buy things and so on. Like I want them to, like, I do care. And I, you know, if someone asks me a specific question, I do want to reply to them. If someone sends me like a really nice message or comment, thanking me for something or telling me, you know, I listened to you on this podcast and like I love that. Like I want to reply to that person. Like I don't want to just air them, you know. So some of it's a respect thing, but you know, at the end of the day, I've just accepted like I'm going to miss some stuff, and I do the best that I can. And I think my followers generally understand that I appreciate them and I do the best that I can. I think most people are reasonable enough to go, okay, like, you know, he's got 1 million followers just on this. Like he might not have seen, he may not have seen my comment. You do get the, you know, there are some odd people who.
Why didn't you reply to me?
You do get that. I remember it's one hilarious time, but again, this is so rare. You know, it's an interesting story, but this is very rare. I do remember one time where, in the space of like just while I was asleep. So I think also some people don't know that there's different time zones in the world. So I remember like there was someone who messaged me at like, maybe it was like 9 p.m. my local time. And then, so like I remember I wake up in the morning, I don't know, I look at my DMs at like 10 a.m. in the morning or something. And within a space of 12 hours, he's like sent me 2 nice messages, a series of question marks, an angry screed about how I haven't replied and I don't care about my fans or whatever, unfollowed, blocked. So like I see so
it's incredible.
Like by the time I see the first, like this is all, you know, just during a 12-hour period, right? Like, so I'm there, I'm reading the first message. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you know, this is a fan, right? Like, you know, this is a question. Why aren't you replying to me? Like, you know, oh, you think you're too big to, you know, reply. I was like, bro, is this
That is
like,
funny.
hey, like I don't have to reply to, but like also like I was like blocked. I was like, whoa, that escalated.
Okay.
That escalated quickly. Yeah. So sometimes you do get those weird like, whoa, okay, someone is not in a good state here.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Yeah. But dude, I'll tell you what, man. I've had so many incredibly, like ludicrously positive interactions with people over the years. Not just online, but some in the real world. Because again, you know, I exist in the real world. Like I meet people who are like, oh, you know, that Zuby from Twitter, or that Zuby from, you know, like, and they're you know, people come up to me in public and whatever. And man, it's remarkable how much something that to you might seem really minor or forgettable can make such an imprint on someone.
So true.
It's fascinating. And, you know, I've written and released 2 books. Obviously I've put out, I guess including my own and other people's, I think I've appeared on at least 600 podcasts now. And, you know, obviously put out 9 albums and EPs and just, I've put a lot of stuff out there. And what's interesting as a creator is you put something out and for you, that's the end point. Like, you know, after we finish this recording and certainly once it's published, that's like kind of the end point for you, but it's the beginning
for everyone else.
Yeah. So by the time if you write a book, by the time you release it, like you're sick of it, you're tired, right? Like you've spent probably years thinking of these ideas and refining and editing and doing all the nonsense it takes to make a book. And then it's only just getting getting to people. And, you can only see the numbers. You can see views, you can see sales, you can see listeners, you can see downloads, but you can't see the depth.
Right.
All these metrics are just breadth, but you can't see the depth until someone is affected by it and they reach out to you or they see you in person and they're like, man, this is the impact you've had on me. Like, this is what this thing did for me. And I've had some of those that are just like I'm not an emotionally charged dude, but I've had some situations where I'm just like humbling, like very, very humbling, like people who are like, we're suicidal, or, had some horrible, going through some really horrible stuff. And they just kind of came across the right post at the right time, or they read or they heard the right thing they needed to hear at that time. And it's remarkable. And I think that's part of the reason why this comes back to what I was saying about actually individuals are way more powerful than we think, because even just our words, we all know this. It's kind of funny, because there's that whole, sticks and stones, when sticks and stones may break my bones, words will never hurt me thing. I know the gist. I know what the gist of that is supposed to mean, but it's also like just not true. We all know people's words are actually like very powerful, whether you're younger or you're older. The way you communicate with people positively or negatively can really, like, people remember stuff. Like, how many people, remember, this teacher said that thing to me, or, my mom once said that to me, or my dad once said that. Like, maybe they just said it as a flippant comment, but 30 years later,
still in therapy about it.
Someone's like hanging on to it, So words are very powerful. They can be
the energy behind it too.
Yeah. And it's fascinating. Obviously, like, being an artist and being a writer, especially, being in the world of hip hop, like when I used to, like prior to 2019, if I did an interview, it was almost always about music. It's funny now, like, I talk about all these different subjects, but before it was, just mostly about my music and maybe hip hop in general. And, one of the questions I always used to get, and I still get occasionally, is, do you think that, do you think hip hop or rap music in particular is like a force for good? Do you think it's a negative influence, or should rappers be role models? Do you think that violence or misogyny in lyrics like impacts people's behavior and so on? And so, like, I'm certainly not in the camp of, bad things happen because of art, right? The kid did that bad thing because he played GTA or he listened to Snoop Dogg, or like, no, I don't generally buy that. But something I do know is through my own work and other people's, it's very apparent to me that words positive words can really shift and motivate people in a positive direction. So if I'm being intellectually honest, it must be the case that the opposite is also possible. I mean, we know it is from history, right? You've seen whole like freaking movements that have happened predominantly through, people saying things and people writing things, whether you look at communism, Nazism, fascism, whatever, like a lot of it was verbal, right? Initially, like words are very influential. So I do try to be, for the last 20 years since I've been in the public eye to any degree, I have always tried to, I'm not perfect with it, but I have always tried to, just make sure like the stuff I'm saying and the things I'm putting out there are very much a net positive. And if I find myself feeling tempted to go the other way, I try myself best to check myself. And sometimes that is when I just need to like, just get offline, just go experience the real world for a couple of days. Like,
So there's a very special place called the Farm at Okefenokee. It's a 1,000 acre regenerative farm community about 45 minutes northwest of Jacksonville, Florida. The farm is a completely off-grid community. It has total food, water, and energy independence. Everything on the farm is 100% organic, and it even features wild boar and bear hunting. The farm at Okefenokee is right next to the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge, where you can do camping and canoeing tours. So if you're like me and you're interested in the self-sovereign lifestyle, then you can get your own lot on the farm at Okefenokee if you tell them that I sent you. Once you get a lot, you can build one of 3 custom cabin options. So if you value freedom, self-sovereignty, and living in touch with nature, then join me and my family. We have lot number 21, and we're going to be building a cabin there starting December 2025. To learn more about the farm at Okefenokee, go to okefarm.com and make sure to tell them that I sent you. If you're a Bitcoiner, you need the Orange Pill app. It's where you can connect with other sovereign individuals locally and globally. It's great for when you travel, to meet local Bitcoiners, to go to Bitcoin meetups, and to find local merchants that accept sats. No distractions, no noise, just real Bitcoiners. So download the Orange Pill app today and find your local Bitcoin tribe. So maybe this ties into, I wanted to ask you this earlier, but like the idea of self-limiting beliefs.
Sure.
The way we were talking about it earlier is like, oh, don't be that way. Everyone just be humble, be willing to reframe your worldview, change your identity, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a balance, right? You don't want to be so open-minded that your brains fall out. So we're stuck somewhere between like having some conviction, some values, some identities, some beliefs, and also being open-minded and open to change and adaptable, right? We need to find that sweet spot. The way we talked about it earlier, almost to me sounded a little bit like we were speaking from a high place, like, oh yeah, we've got this figured out. But like, then I'm reflecting on myself. I'm like, well, no, I don't have it figured out at all. Like I still deal with the same things sometimes that I've been dealing with for years. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were in here, for instance, a week ago or something talking, and like, I'm frustrated in the moment. And the guy's like, relax, man, your energy's strong. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is a thing I've been dealing with forever. Like it's hard to step outside yourself, see yourself. And so sometimes I find myself having that self-limiting belief of, oh yeah, I'm just a frustratable person. And sometimes I can be a little intense, and that's just the way it is. That doesn't sound like a self-limiting belief that almost is keeping you small, but it's something that excuses your behavior in a way. So like, how do you defrag those self-limiting beliefs? Because I think a lot, like we were saying earlier, people just get stuck in whatever the thing is. Could be powerlessness, could be powerfulness. Someone could think they're the shit, and maybe you would think that's kind of counterintuitive. That doesn't sound like a self-limiting belief, but it actually is. Mm-hmm. If you're super arrogant, well, that's going to fuck you up. Not exactly. Can't learn anything. So how do you get the metacognitive step to look back at yourself and know you're doing that?
I want to add to that because it ties in, and I've been thinking this. Like, you have a high level of self-awareness, and does that self-awareness play into that?
I guess so. It's interesting. I don't think about it that much. Something I default to all the time, and I kind of say often, and it might sound a little trite and too obvious, but like I just do my best. I just do my best. And I encourage people to just do your best, because it's very easy to paralyze, whether you're a super conscientious person or a low confidence person. It's easy to be paralyzed by the idea that you're not going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to start a podcast because, it's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to go to the gym because I don't know the perfect routine. I'm not going to try to eat better because I don't know the perfect. It's like, just do your best. Start and do your best. You can build the plane as you're flying it. Nobody is perfect. Although whatever guru you look up to or person who you think is amazing at this or like, no one, like, we're all fallen creatures. No one has got like everything figured out. And you don't need to be flawless to help people. You don't need to be flawless to teach people. You don't need to know everything to teach people. You can just look, this is what I've learned so far, and sharing that with people sometimes it can be even more valuable because it's more accessible. Mm-hmm. If you take someone who, I don't know, they train Olympic athletes or NFL players, and they're or they dial in bodybuilders for Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Their advice is probably going to be less useful to the average person than the guy who just finally managed to lose 100 pounds and get down to a decent body shape.
Right.
And he's not even top 1% physique, but he did this and he's just done it. Here's what I learned. Here's how I did it. Here's my before and after photos. Probably more people would be inspired, and he can in a way help more people despite not being as much of an expert.
Yeah.
It's just look, I'm just sharing my journey. This is what I've learned. Here are some thoughts and ideas I have. Everything I've said on this podcast, some of it, I'm sure, some of it will resonate, some of it won't. Some of it, I'm sure I could have articulated better, and maybe I will if I drop those ideas again in the future. But you know what? I think I can be like, yeah, I did my best. Like, given my lack of sleep and I think I showed up, and we had a good conversation. We talked about interesting ideas. We bounced ideas off of each other. I think I listened well. I think I spoke pretty well. So with everything, you go in the gym, you've been training a long time. Some days you're literally like stronger than others. Yeah. You can go in one day and man, like I could do this for 15 reps last time. Now I'm struggling to hit 8. Something, it could be 1 week after the next. Like you haven't lost any strength. You're just not in the same. It's just like that. Just do your best. Like I tell people all the time with the gym, like, get started. Some people, I've only got, I'm like, dude, half an hour, even if you go for half an hour and just do, I don't know, a very mediocre workout, that is infinitely more than doing nothing.
For sure.
Infinitely more, right? It's better if you do, 70 minutes and it's perfectly dialed in and but it's like, man, just do something. Maybe you normally go to the gym 4 times a week and, you have a week where things are just super hectic and crazy and you only manage to get 2 sessions in. Man, that's 2 more than 0. Like, so I just encourage people, man, just do what you can. If you wait around for perfection, you're never going to start. You're never going to do anything. And you can't, it's actually one of the curses of conscientiousness. Like, I know you're a very conscientious person. You must be to do what you do. I'm a very conscientious person. And being very conscientious, it means that you feel guilty when you're not working, and you judge yourself and critique yourself quite
Nothing's
harshly,
ever good enough.
and you're always trying to get better. And you have to give yourself some grace. You have to give yourself some grace. Just, like I'll just do my best. I'll have days where like I just need to recharge, or I don't feel like, I don't have, you're not going to get, every day is not going to be like 100%, 100%. It's not realistic.
It's a great point. Even the showing up at the gym, I think, is such a big victory too. To just actually get there.
Because once you're there, you'll do something.
Yes. And you've overcome already whatever resistance, and some of the best workouts I've ever had too are those days where like, you really don't want to go. You're like, this is the last thing on earth that I want to do. Yeah. But if you can, I don't know if it's digging into a commitment or it's just establishing that pattern, like that habit, doing the reps so many times that you just kind of habitually show up. And then that alone is a victory. Yeah. Even if you don't work out that hard.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's all just incremental.
Yeah.
And if you can just, in anything, you want to learn something, you want to build a skill, you want to get in better shape, you want to sort out your finances, anything, it's all incremental. Maybe this is another this is certainly a phenomenon that happens with social media, where the comparison thing, right? Because again, historically, people would compare themselves to people around their physical vicinity, right? The people around my village, the people around my town, like maybe some family members, friends, like these are the people you compare yourself to. And now, with smartphones, women in particularly on Instagram, men do it in a different way. I think it's more obvious with women, like the comparison game, but even guys, you're looking at, man, look at how much money this guy is making, or look at what he has, or look at this, or even just look at how many followers this person has. I often like to remind people that it took me 10 years to get 20,000 followers on Twitter.
That's a good
I started
reminder.
my Twitter account June 2009. I hit 20,000 followers March 2019. 20,000. So people may see my account now, they're like, bro, you've got like almost 1.3 million followers. And I look at their account like they've been on Twitter for 8 months. Right? I've had people who message me and they've gained 10,000 followers in 8 months. And they're like, oh, like I feel like I'm following. I'm like, bro, do you know how long it took me to get 10,000 followers? Like you're just seeing the number, and you're not thinking time. You're not thinking. You're just thinking this person has this big number. I want big number too. And people do that with money. People do it with physique, whatever. And bro, firstly, it's good to know like there is always going to be someone who has like 100x whatever
anything.
You have. Like you could become a billionaire. And there's another billionaire who's literally got 300 times more money than you, right? Oh, I just made my first billion. Whoa, freaking billion. Oh, well, that guy's got 100 billion. That guy's got 200 billion. That guy's got 300 billion, right? There's going to be someone who's stronger than you. There's going to be someone who's like, so if you start playing that game, as they say, comparison's the thief of joy. That's very true. Like, be the best version of yourself. Like, this is where, to me, it becomes like partly even like a religious and spiritual thing, because like, I do believe that I believe in God, obviously. And I think, God gives people different talents and personalities and skill sets and environments and so on. And, Robert's a tall guy. There's someone who's there's guys who are freaking 7'5", right? Right? Like Robert's taller than 99% of men in the world. And there's guys who are way, way, way taller than him, right? Like someone's taller, there's someone who's stronger, there's someone who's this, there's someone, and it's just what are we even doing here? Just look, you've got just work on. Just self-mastery is a lifelong.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong effort. Regardless of your starting point, just do the best with what you have. And instead of just chasing that or trying to be like that, I just encourage everyone, man, look, very few people are even remotely close to their potential. Very few people are even
So true.
Most people have barely even tapped into it. Okay. Most people aren't even even if just look at one aspect, just think of physical fitness and health. What percentage of people are even close?
Why is that? Is that limiting beliefs? Going back to what he was asking, and did you have any limiting beliefs that you had to overcome in your journey? Any major sticking points there?
Some of it is laziness. Lots of it is apathy. Some of it might be lack of knowledge, or lack of motivation, or social circles and so on. And look, and also
seasonality too, right?
And also people are ambitious in different ways, which is also fascinating. It's hard to, I think every single person, we tend to project not just our worldview and our opinions, but our hardwiring onto other people. So I'll tell you one of my one of my gifts and my curses. I think it's generally a gift for myself, being very conscientious and ambitious, and I have a very strong self-improvement streak. I'm obsessed with always trying to become a better version of myself. And I've had that since I was young. I want to be stronger, fitter, smarter, more knowledgeable, speak better, become a better writer. Everything I do, I always want to be getting better. And so, but the curse of that is it means that, I don't think I've ever said this on a podcast explicitly, but I have a tendency to think most people are lazy. And I have to try to kind of rein that in a bit, to not look down on people. I'm just being very, very honest here because I'm so driven. And there's people more driven than me, but I struggle to, I can get frustrated by people.
You probably have a bit of that.
Yeah, right. I can get frustrated by someone when someone's just so unambitious. It's more so if they're complaining. If someone's just unambitious and they're just you know what, I'm just happy with how things are and I don't feel I'm you know what, God bless you. But if someone is complaining and then complaining about their life and I want this and I want that, I'm but then they don't want to do any of the things that would get them out of that situation. I don't have a lot of empathy for it. And some people can be oh, you're a little harsh in that sense. And I don't try to be. I'm just bro, just, if you're a child, I have much more leeway. But if it's a grown man, I'm just bro, go to the gym, right? Just do the thing, right? You keep saying it, just do it. Here's the information. Here's the thing. I can't literally do it for you. Just, So
yes, I feel that one a lot.
I watch this guy sometimes a vein in his fucking hood, dude. And I'm bro, not everybody,
but that's
the
good
contrast in life, I guess. We need those people to hold the 3D down or something. I don't know what.
We talk about opponent processing a lot in here. It's the dynamic tension between opposites that drives everything along. So it's I try to step out and be okay, I'm feeling this way, but that's just my perspective. And then, obviously other people are going to feel different ways. Why are you pushing so hard? We're just trying to do a thing here. And God, it's a hard thing. That self-awareness is so hard because in your meat suit in the moment from behind your eyes looking out, you're just are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Especially when you said if they're complaining and you're here's the information. And here, why are we still talking? Why are you still looking at me? That's how I feel.
Yeah, it can be hard, but I think that again, that's where self-awareness and self-knowledge is useful. There are some people who are big believers and some people who aren't, and sort of personality tests and the big 5 personality traits. I think the big 5 is pretty darn accurate. And
Yeah.
I remember years ago doing like the Big Five personality traits, and I realized just how extreme some of my traits actually are. And that was useful for me because actually the one I did, it tells you like where you are as a percentile of the population in each of the traits. So for example, my neuroticism score was 0.
And this is Myers-Briggs.
No, it's not Myers-Briggs. It's the Big Five.
Big Five, okay,
conscientiousness, openness,
conscientiousness,
extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism.
Yeah.
So neuroticism is essentially susceptibility to negative emotion, be it anger, fear,
You scored
anxiety.
0.
Yeah, I'm the 0th percentile.
Wow.
So if you put me in a room of 100 people, I'm probably going to be the least neurotic person in the entire room.
Chillest dude in the room.
And that really, but that really, so like again, just similar in the thing, like my whole life, I've always found other people weirdly emotional.
Yeah.
Like unnecessary. Like I'm like, just when I even see people like ranting about politics or this, I'm like, just chill out, man. Like, or like during the whole COVID thing, when everyone's freaking out and losing their heads. I'm like, what the frick is wrong with it? Like, I'm just there like normal, right? And everyone's panicking. Or I've had times where, and I've seen times in my life where that has given people the wrong impression of me. I've had times where there are people who think like I don't care because I don't show my emotions the same way many other people do.
Why aren't you angry about this?
Yeah, not just anger, but even like sad. So I'm from a really, really, really big family. And something that comes with that is there's a lot of sickness and death. I've seen dozens of family members have died over the past 20 years. So I've had, times where, something bad happens or, I've had friends die. And like, I'm not saying this like as a tough guy thing at all, but like, I'm not a big crier at all. Like it's very rare for me to cry. I maybe cry like once every 2 years or something. And that's not because I don't feel, let alone that I don't care or something, but like the way I just process things is different. So there could be a situation where something happens and some people are just like very obviously distraught. Like, some people wear their heart on their sleeves, as you see. And like, if they're sad, it's very obvious they're sad. If they're depressed, it's very obvious. If they're angry, it's very obvious. Like with me, it's quite hard, I think, for people even people close to me, they don't really know how I'm feeling.
It's like a natural stoicism.
Yeah, I'm like always kind of like I am right now. Like I could be really angry right now and you like wouldn't know. So I'm not gonna be like ranting and raving and whatever. I'm just like pretty level. And so it was good for me to like learn that because actually it lets me relate to other people better. And it allows me to kind of just know, oh, okay, if these type of situations happen, I need to sometimes be like a little more sensitive or sometimes I might even need to very consciously like show more emotion so that people don't think I'm like so aloof and callous or whatever. Like I just don't care because that is not the situation. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking very, very deeply about it. It's just not like so obvious to people. Another one, like assertiveness, I was like 98th percentile. So that's something I'm very conscious of. I'm actually conscious of it during this podcast. What it means is I have a tendency to dominate conversations if I don't check myself.
What's that? Which one is that?
Assertiveness. Extroversion plays into it as well.
Extroversion. Okay. Because I was going to ask you about agreeableness.
Yep. Why is that though? Why do you think you have that high level of assertiveness?
I think mostly it's just hardwired. Mostly. I don't think I think it's more of a nature than a nurture thing. I think most people's base personalities are relatively, not totally fixed, but fairly, this is your natural disposition. And I think we see that even with babies and toddlers. Like you can see a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old and their personalities already fairly,
But my 3-year-old is... She runs the house. Sometimes she's upset. I'm like, why are you upset? You're like a little dictator. You literally, everything is happening for you right now. Like, what's going on?
Because I'm the boss.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I've got 10 nieces and nephews. The oldest is 19 now. So they go from like ages 2 to 19. And with all of them, like, their personalities now are not, you saw strong glimpses of them already by say the age of 1 or 2. even before they could speak. Like you can see, okay. And my parents have said the same of like the 5 of us. They've said like, yeah, even when you were 2 years old, you were like a weirdly disciplined 2-year-old, you know, or like very, you know, they like to tell this story of when I was like 3 or 4 years old and we went to a track, like a racetrack. And they were like, you literally ran until you collapsed. Like they were trying to stop me and I ran until I collapsed and fell asleep on the track and they had to pick me up and carry me back up. They're like, you've just like, if you set your mind to something, you will do it. I'm not someone who says something and then doesn't do it. I won't be like, oh, I'm going to like do X and then I don't. Oh, I'm going to do this. I was like, no. Like when I started my podcast, I was like, I'm going to do this for at least 10 years and I'm not going to miss a week. Right. And I'm 6.5 years in now and I haven't missed a week. If I'm not, I'm going to try to go on a diet or I'm going to try to do this. And I'm like, no, either I just won't say I'll do it and I won't do it, or I'll be like, no, like I'm going to do it. All right. Like I woke up this morning, I felt horrible. Yeah,
that was your text to me this morning.
But I told Robert yesterday, we're going to go to the gym together, meet you there at 8, and we're going to do this podcast, right? It would be very easy for me to like wake up and be like, bro, like I'm so tired physically, mentally, like, can we do this another day?
And you didn't even ask. You're just like, I'm feeling tired, but I'll see you there.
Do you feel the pull to negotiate with life, or is it just like hardwired into you? You don't negotiate. You do what you say you're going to do regardless. Because there is that pull for, I would imagine.
What do you mean?
Like you're in the moment this morning and you're like, hey, I'm tired. I'm going to do this thing. Do you feel that pull of like, is it a problem if I cancel or not? Or is it just like default into like, no, I got to do this. I don't care if I'm tired.
I think at this point it's the latter. I think there was probably a point where it was more the former. But I think now it's so hardwired. Like, unless, you know, I also just, I take my word seriously. I don't like flakiness. Like, I don't like it when someone, man or woman, it just doesn't do what they say they're going to do. I think it's like a big flaw and it makes it hard to rely on people. It makes it hard to trust people. If, you know, we know people like this, they say, oh, you know, like I'll be there and then they don't show up, or I'll do that and they don't do it. Like I don't want to be that guy. Maybe some of it is that as well. You know what I mean? If I'm sick or like there's some emergency or something, that's different, right? In which case, like I'll still let the person know, like, hey, I can't make it because X, Y, Z. I'm not going to just not show up.
But it still says something about your character that you didn't sleep last night and you still showed up today.
Yeah, like, thank you, man.
For a lot of people, that is an emergency. Like I might even tap out on that one. Like 2 hours of sleep, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You know, I think a lot of it that drives me as well is, you know, just being very clear of my purpose and my mission in life. And also just a very overwhelming sense of gratitude and perspective. You know, for whatever reason, maybe it's the travel, maybe it's originally, you know, having a family background from Nigeria or whatever the case may be. I'm just very, very aware and conscious that there are billions of people around the world who are struggling in all sorts of ways. Mostly not self-induced, just like, you know, it's easy to forget when you live in the West or even just a developed country, it's very easy to forget like how abnormal, like the way the typical American lives is so far removed from the way the average person in the world lives, even right now in 2025. Right. So when I see certain people, like just the things people complain about and the lack of gratitude people have for like all the, you know, things that people would literally like die to have or like risk their life to get. Yeah. And it's so normal to you that you like don't even notice it. From clean water to electricity and central heating and air conditioning. You know, even now, like most people in the world live without these things. I think I'm very conscious of that. Yeah. So I try to keep my problems and issues. Again, I'm not perfect. I'm self-centered like everyone, but I try to keep things in perspective. And it's part of why I do very little complaining about my life. Because to me, that's like a slap in the face to God. It's a slap in my face to my ancestors. It's like, yeah, we all go through our stuff and it's important to deal with it. But in the grand scheme of things, gosh, I thank God that I'm able-bodied. I thank God that I was born in the UK and have a British passport. I thank God that I can say my parents have been married for 50 years and they raised me well. And I have 4 wonderful brothers and sisters. And I have a healthy wife and a healthy child. And like I can see and I can hear. I have a roof over my head. I'm not questioning where my next meal is going to come from or if like water is going to run when I turn the tap. Just all of these things, I try really not to take them for granted. Even beyond that, like I do what I love for a living. How many people can say that, right? Sure, I've worked for it, but like I wake up every day and I can kind of choose what I want to do. Like this is my work day.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
No, it's awesome.
This is my work day.
Yeah.
Like I get to just hang out with friends and have a conversation about life. And then we get to broadcast it and like thousands of people are interested to even hear it.
And helping them.
And they
people.
take something from it. Yeah, man. I'm just like, gosh, like I'm grateful. If I'm tired, who gives a crap?
Your positivity and enthusiasm is so aspirational.
Big
Honestly,
time.
like
great vibes. Off the charts. It's really.
I really want to be more like you, Zuby. I guess what I'm saying. We do have to end. I got to go to this thing, but like, I'm sorry, but that point, I just hope everyone can take that. Well, hopefully there's a lot of takeaways, but the slap in the face to the ancestors. If you're complaining about anything in this world,
or
it is
scared,
such a slap in the face or whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone that came before you, literally everyone, had it harder than you.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Bro, until the past,
Everyone.
until the past maybe like 80 years in some of the world, life for almost everyone was just freaking hard.
Yeah. Well, when I think about Bitcoin too, people are all fucked up over all the things happening in the world. I'm like you have the opportunity. You can hide 12 words and escape all of that. You're invisible, inviolable property. Like for hundreds of thousands of years, people would do anything for that.
The gratitude, we got to keep the gratitude up because our ancestors have given us so much ultimately, right? Like this inheritance that we have, like, holy cow, what a time to be alive.
Anytime I read anything historical or I watch anything historical, it doesn't even matter what time period. It could be medieval, it could be biblical, it could be prehistoric, it could even be from the 1800s or 1700s. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Things are so much. It could be from 100 years ago, 1925. And you're just like, whoa, I'm glad that I'm not living then.
Yeah.
So as much as we may complain about some of the modern gripes, would you rather have lived in which time period?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you have been better off in, really?
Simultaneously to be so grateful for that and then also inspired to add to it and pass it on to the future is like, that feels like a good way to fit in. 100%. Zuby, thank you so much for making the 4th appearance. I think you might be one of the most popular guests at this point.
So. I'm honored, man. Thank you.
This was fun. I'm happy to be a part of it for this go.
Great to meet you too.
Yeah.
Good to have Eric. Where can people find you on the internet?
All social media at Zuby Music, Zuby Music. And I've started a Substack recently now. So I'm putting out articles and newsletters every single week. So that's realtalkwithzuby.com. I'd love for people to subscribe to that. And I think you'll enjoy it.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
We lock our doors, we encrypt our hard drives, and we use strong passwords. But most people leave one thing wide open: their phone line. SIM swap attacks are one of the fastest growing methods of digital theft. In minutes, a hacker can clone your accounts, reset your passwords, and drain your life. Unfortunately, this is not science fiction. It happens every single day. Efani is the only mobile service protection designed exclusively to protect you from SIM swap attacks. Efani offers military-grade encryption on their product and offers up to $5 million of SIM swap insurance. And to date, there have been exactly 0 SIM swaps on any of Efani's over 50,000 protected accounts. So you don't need to live in fear, you just need to protect your weakest link. Go to efani.com/breedlove to secure your phone line today. Again, that's Efani, EFANI.com/breedlove. For the past 25 years, I've been reading roughly 1 book per week. Almost entirely difficult nonfiction books, the kind that really shift your thinking. Books on physics, money, power, psychology, spirituality, and philosophy. The real stuff. But I get it. Most people don't have time to read 50 books per year. So I hand selected my favorite nonfiction books and distilled each one of them into a course that you can take in 50 to 100 times faster than it would take you to read the entire book. Each course gives you the key insights, mental models, and frameworks that matter. We launched with 15 book courses, and we are building toward a library of 100 by the end of year 1. So if you are a seeker of truth, wisdom, and personal growth, then my book course is for you. To sign up, go to course.breedlove.io. Again, that's course.breedlove.io. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.